Hello, you're listening to Storytelling Saga, the podcast that shares stories. I'm your host, Allie, and this week I'm discussing Encanto. This movie completely blew me away. As I'm recording this, I actually watched this movie almost a week ago now. It stuck with me throughout this whole week. I've been re listening to the soundtrack. I saw that they put up the art of Encanto, so I was looking through that. So gorgeous and so amazing seeing the transformation of the characters and early designs of the characters. And there's also the screenplay, which is currently available. It's available for a short time because it's for like the Oscars. So as I'm recording this, it's available. So it may not be by the time this episode is available, but just an FYI there. And my goodness, this movie, I am so floored by it. It's incredible. Everything about it. I have no doubt that I would have loved to have watched this movie as a kid. This definitely would have been a favorite movie of mine as a kid because I always loved things with magic, and it's just so visually gorgeous. The characters are incredible. Mirabelle to me is, I think, like one of the strongest protagonists in any given movie, let alone in a Disney movie. My God, what an endearing character. Such an amazing character, my goodness. And just the themes of this movie and everything. Oh my God, I'm just so in awe. I really am. And so props to the entire creative team of this movie. It was co-directed by Jared Bush and Byron Howard. And Jared Bush, and this is the team behind other Disney movies such as Zootopia and, well, Byron Howard also, he was part of the movie Bolt, Tangled, Zootopia, and Encanto. And Jared Bush, he also worked on Moana, which is another movie I've been meaning to watch. I gotta check out that one because I've heard the music in that one too, and it just seems like a really great movie. And also Zootopia, which I really love Zootopia too. That's one of my favorite of the more modern Disney movies. But this one, oh my God, I could see it someday being like similar to Frozen, where they have now a musical adaptation on Broadway. I could see that happening for this movie definitely because we don't talk about Bruno, That song actually reached the Billboard Hot 100. It reached number 1 on the Billboard, so that is incredible. It's just a viral song. It's so catchy. I actually did listen to it before I saw the movie, and I thought, okay, I could see why people like this song. It seems like a lot of fun, but wow, my goodness. But that being said, all the music in this movie is phenomenal. Of course, the songwriter is Lin-Manuel Miranda. His talent is, oh my God, he has so much talent because, of course, creator of Hamilton, and also he's part of that movie Tick, Tick, Boom. That's another one I've meaning to check out too. And also In the Heights, and he's working on new projects too, of course. So, he's just so talented. And so I'm just floored by how, like, the movie itself, but also the whole production of it, everything that went into it. So it's set in Colombia, and so such a rich culture, and the people who worked on this movie went to visit Colombia to get, the more authenticity of it. So I'm just, oh my goodness, I'm already like, oh, I'm so in awe. Like, of course, I don't mean to already be gushing. That's just how I feel, though, in this moment as I am now recounting the movie. And so our protagonist is Mirabel Madrigal, voiced by Stephanie Beatrice, aka Rosa Diaz from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I recognized her voice. I was like, wait, that kind of sounds like Stephanie Diaz. And then after the fact, looking it up, I was like, oh, yep, Stephanie Beatrice, rather. I'm mixing up Rosa Diaz and Stephanie Beatrice, my bad. But Mirabel Madrigal is 15 years old. And, I actually thought she was like 23 or something. I was like, I couldn't tell her age. That's too funny. And the fact that she is quote unquote ordinary in this family that is blessed with all of these gifts, that she's the only one seemingly who doesn't have a gift. And I do like how, not to immediately jump to the end, but I am jumping to the end, so spoiler alert, which, you really should watch this movie if you haven't. My God, it's truly mind-blowing, and it seems like it could have been a Pixar movie in terms of how universal it feels and how, like, it just touches you on such a deep emotional level. So that's just the beauty of it. But spoiler alerts that she doesn't end up actually getting a gift, but I do like that she doesn't somehow get a gift in the end, because at first it seemed like she would have somehow, like, by the end have discovered what her gift was, but the journey she goes on, it's all the more impactful. And so she is the only one, has just kind of, in that sense, feeling like an outsider in this family of these truly gifted people who all are so amazing and blessed by the miracle, which Abuela tells us about in the beginning, her Abuela Alma. And then we just get like all this exposition though in the first song, the Family Madrigal, which, and also I just love the Spanish too, es muy bonita. And Encanto means charm, which I did not know that. I had to look that up. I was like, what does Encanto even mean in Espanol? I wasn't sure. But so we're introduced to the entire family by like those little kids are just like are so super excited. Those three little kids who show up then at the end and are just so entranced by the Madrigal family, and of course with Mirabel, and they want to know Mirabel's gift. But then she tells us all about the family with her mother Julieta, who can heal with food. So that's just like such a mom thing too. It's like your mom gives you something to make you feel better. That's just so adorable in and of itself. It's really cute and clever. And then her aunt, her tia, Peppa, who can control the weather. That's what is amazing to me too, that each of these gifts in and of themselves, each of these characters are so enriching and so interesting that they could have all had their own, they do all have like their own arc, but they all could have their own story and would have been so fascinating to follow as well. So then we have also her cousin Dolores, who has like super hearing. We have also her cousin Camilo. So of course like a play on chameleon. He's a shapeshifter, so he just takes on other people's appearances. So that's funny too. And then there's her older, it's funny, she has two older siblings. I thought actually Isabella, I thought was her younger sister, but in fact they're both her older siblings. So Isabella, who is seemingly perfect and who can make things bloom with all these beautiful flowers. And then Luisa, who has super strength. And am I missing anyone? Oh, and then of course there is Antonio, who then we learn he gets his gift at the start of the movie, which is that he can talk to animals. So that's really amazing too. And also to mention too that, just to give an overview, because I find it all amazing anyway, but I do love the fact that La Casita, the house, is magical and it's like alive. So like, you know, the floors move, like helps her puts on the shoes, all that stuff. So it's really cool and amazing. And then of course the symbolism of the burning candle, showing that that's their miracle, that as long as that light is burning. So that's really pretty too. But I love the scene with Antonio and Mirabel when she gives him a gift and she says, I know you're an animal guy, and then it's like a little, whatever it is, a tiger or a leopard. I'm already blanking in this moment. Like it's a little like stuffed animal. It's really cute. And it's definitely not a tiger because it doesn't have stripes. It's like a jaguar or something, like a little just stuffed animal. And then he's afraid, though, saying like, what if it doesn't work? And she says, well, you know, the chances of that are so slim, but then I'll be here with you. We'll stay in the nursery together. That's what's so amazing about Mirabel, the fact that she's able to put her own feelings aside because she doesn't have a gift. Whereas then with now her little cousin getting his gift, and she has to comfort him and just be like, it's going to be okay, you're going to get your gift, it's going to be amazing. And then like when she holds his hands with him, walks with him, and then we see flashbacks of when she was a little girl going to get her gift, and then later when we learn that when she turns the doorknob and then the door just disappears, and poor Mirabel, oh my god, that's so heartbreaking. And then also when he gets his gift, and then like when they're all taking a picture and she's just, you know, observing it all, and then she sings Waiting on a Miracle. Props to Stephanie Beatrice, beautiful singer, my goodness. God, she's so talented because, again, as I discussed Brooklyn Nine-Nine, she does a different voice for Rosa, like a much deeper voice. So, you know, obviously her range is incredible. So she's so endearing as this character. And also just to mention the design of Mirabel herself. I love the bright green glasses, her curly hair, her beautiful, colorful dress. Incredible. But just showing her inner strength, and though she feels... she's just like, I'm waiting on a miracle. Like that song, it's so heartbreaking. Like, when's her moment gonna come? And then that's when she sees the cracks in the house. So the miracle is like under a threat. And then when she shows Abuela, but of course then like it's seemingly fine. And then she keeps saying to herself, like how early on too with the flashback with Abuela at the beginning of the movie, make her family proud. And then she decides, I'm going to save the miracle. That will make my family proud. And then, when she's like, of course, we don't talk about Bruno, which is at the beginning in that opening sequence as well. And so I love how it's played up to be, okay, Bruno is the villain, so like supposedly going to be the villain of the movie. I love that it's the reverse of that. He ends up being this really sweet guy, kind of like really nervous and awkward too, but that I guess I'm jumping to that part, but then like when we find out that he's been ostracized and then it turns out he left to protect Mirabelle. Talk about so selfless, the fact that he did that. That's amazing. But the We Don't Talk About Bruno song. Oh, but no, I guess I don't have to go in order, but I do have to mention though, Surface Pressure, Louisa's song. That song is so good too. I love it. Like, my goodness. Pressure, like, oh my god, whoa, oh god, it's so good. Who am I? Like, she feels like she's stuck with literally carrying the burden, the weight crushing down on her. Pressure like the drip, drip, drip that'll never stop. Whoa. I'm just like so like seeing that arc alone is so enriching and so interesting. And similarly later then with Isabella's arc, we're having to be so perfect all the time. The pressure in that sense. So, and then of course like what they say too early on, like, oh, the beauty and the brawn, the strength, and then with Isabella, like this seemingly picture perfect. And then when she creates something that's different with the cactus, and it's like, oh, what's this? It's something else. And then what else can I do? That's a beautiful song too. And then when Mirabelle says, like, okay, great, bring it in to like hug her. But so going back to Bruno though, his reveal is so great where he seems so intimidating in the darkness, and then we finally see him, and he's got all of his rat friends, and he's actually really fearful and full of anxiety. And then we find out that he's ostracized because of all of his predictions, and that they think that somehow he was like putting a hex on them, when of course they sing about it in We Don't Talk About Bruno. My god, that song is so much fun. And it's hard to say why it's so popular other than it's so damn catchy. It's just such a fun song. I think for me personally, what I love about it is that it feels so alive, that song, in the sense that it's a bunch of different characters singing it. Like it starts with the Tia Peppa. We don't talk about Bruno, no. We don't talk about Bruno. It's so good. I love the part with Camillo. 7-foot frame, rats along his back. I like that part. I love also Isabella's part. Like, he told me that that's beautiful too. And then with Dolores, he told me that my love would be just like, oh god, it's so good. And you really need to talk about Bruno. Like with Mirabelle's, like each part of the chorus, and then like, the reprise of all of those verses in a loop. So that's really fun too. Amazing song. So when we get that backstory about, okay, so he predicted all of these things. He told me my goldfish would die the next day, gone, like all of these things. And so it's like they're mad at him then, and then it turns out the vision with Mirabelle, that like it's connected with the house, and that so then he left because he didn't want to have to tell Abuela that somehow Mirabelle was connected with his vision, and then have to ostracize her. So then like that's so sweet that he protected her. But then like when we see how he's just by himself though, and then the part with the dinner, like that's what's great about the song too. Like there's a sense of, oh, it's like, Isabella, your boyfriend is here, and then that guy who like is going to propose seemingly to Isabella, but she doesn't want to marry him. And then also when they're all like, at the dinner table, and then later with Bruno, when we see he has his place at the dinner table that he made for himself. That's so heartbreaking. Oh my god. And it's like, oh my goodness. But then he's going a little crazy. It's like, oh, here's all these rats, you want to tell a novella? Like, oh goodness. And it's just so funny, like when she first sees him, he's like, oh, bye. Like, oh gosh. But then when he's like shows the vision, then she has to hug Isabella, so that's what leads to that song. And also to mention, it's cute how the stuffed animal comes back with Antonio's stuffed animal that Mirabelle made for him. It's like, oh, just for some confidence or whatever. Just for like, a little boost. It's so cute. And also I like how with the animals, that he can understand them, but like we don't ever hear them talk, we, the audience. But that little capybara that just shows up throughout the movie, just like sitting there is totally unimpressed with that deadpan look. I like that little guy. So cute, my goodness. But, oh gosh, what a colorful, amazing movie. So I'm just like recalling all these scenes in my head. fantastic. So then when she, like, when they hugged then, her and Isabella. And when I was watching, I was like, okay, that was kind of a quick resolution. I'm sure there's going to be more there. And then, of course, like when the house starts breaking, but like, crumbling down. And then Mirabelle realizes, like, confronting Abuela, saying, Isabella will never be perfect enough. Louisa will never be strong enough. And because poor Louisa then feeling, when her gift was weakening, like things were feeling heavier to her and she's feeling the pressure again. So the miracle is supposedly dying for everyone. And then when we get the whole backstory of, which we knew about with Pedro, Alma's husband, tragically, who passed. And that whole sequence is so heart-wrenching because, of course, we've seen deaths, like Disney villain deaths in Disney movies. And when we do see tragic deaths, even in, say, Tarzan, where, what's her name? Oh my goodness. Well, Tarzan's mom and Kerchak, their son, who was tragically killed in the beginning of the movie, and then Tarzan's parents were tragically killed. So things like that off screen. But then in this sense, when we know that Pedro tragically was killed when they were fleeing because protecting themselves, of course, from the dangers, and then the sheer anguish with Alma that we feel in that moment of her crumbling down and crying out in pain and holding their 3 children, it's devastating. Oh my God, it's just, it's so crushing. And that song is absolutely gorgeous, Dos Oreguitas, which is 2 caterpillars. And again, I had to look that up. I was not familiar. I did not remember the word oreguitas. And that song is so beautiful, though. It's so comforting and gorgeous and warm and just enchanting. Everything that this movie is, too. And then forget it, the moment when they reconcile then, and Abuela apologizes, and Mirabelle's able to see her in a different light, saying, you had to carry all this pain, and the miracle is here because of you. We're a family because of you. And then Abuela realizes, before when she was saying how, I don't know why you don't have a gift, but it doesn't mean you could take away from other people, like in this family, like basically saying she's in the way in a sense. But then when she realizes how wrong she was, and then when she says, my sweet Pedro, I was looking for a miracle. Mirabelle, he sent me you. And when they hug, I was in a flood of tears. Oh my God, because it just reminded me of my, like, just that devotion and love with a grandmother and her granddaughter. And it was beautiful. I was just so amazed. Oh my God, because again, going back to Mirabelle, her undying devotion and determination and showing her inner strength and that she is the gift. So then leading up to when they have to rebuild the house with that final song, All of You, and with the town coming together to thank them too. That was so touching and beautiful. And then when Bruno comes back saying, oh, okay, so we talk about Bruno, and then like he's saying, oh, well, I didn't want to, like he explains everything. That's so sweet. So he reunites with his sisters and with his mother, Alma. And then when Antonio presents the doorknob to Mirabelle, saying, we made this for you. And then the house is restored, gorgeous, and they get all their gifts back. So it's a truly such a wonderful, incredible movie that I was like, it's had such a deep impact, and I'm like just so in awe, and I loved it so much. So props to every single person who worked on it, because also it's so universal in that it's that similar family dynamic. Okay, like sometimes there's sibling rivalry where Mirabelle, as much as she loves her family, sometimes she feels like, at this point, like when she feels jealous or feels like, why don't I have a gift, like, and trying to find her place, feeling like an outsider in her own family. So then, like, jealous of her perfect sister, but then her perfect sister doesn't like being perfect. Similar in that sense, too. I can't help but you make the comparison of Olga and Helga Pataki from Hey Arnold, So it's so sweet, too. Even at the end when Louise is saying, like, I'm strong, but sometimes I cry. So do we. Like, it's like normal. We're all human. Like, so it's sweet, too, when they say it's not perfect. And then, like, their new house. And then Alma saying it's not perfect, and then Mirabelle says neither are we. That's true. Like, it's so sweet. Oh my God. So just finding your own, recognizing your own gift, that, like, though she doesn't have a magical gift, that she is the gift. She is the miracle, Mirabelle. So it's just An incredible movie. My goodness, such a sweet movie. I loved it so much. And we do talk about Bruno. God, that's such a fun song. But Dos Oruguitas is such a special, heartwarming, beautiful song. So I love all the songs, but that one's just so touching and gorgeous. So, oh my goodness, I can't praise enough how much I adored this movie. Surface Pressure is such a fun song. And What Else Can I Do? Oh my gosh. Gosh, what an amazing movie. My goodness. The Madrigals are truly such an incredible and an endearing family. And Mirabelle is someone to truly, truly aspire to be, with her sheer devotion and determination and strength and passion that she shows throughout the movie. And just how they become stronger than ever, the Madrigals. So truly, truly beautiful. And the symbolism of the candle and the butterflies, like, gorgeous. Oh my goodness. How colorful and bright it is, and just embracing the culture of Colombia and portraying all of that, and so beautiful. My goodness. So what an incredible movie. My goodness. Oh, and actually, a couple of other things I did want to mention. If ever you notice that the audio sounds slightly different in the episode, it's because I've added in additional audio. So that's what I'm doing right now in this case, because I was starting to edit and then I realized, oh, I forgot to point out two things that I wanted to bring up. I wanted to mention in the song All of You, I just especially love the lyric when she sings, "Look at this family, a glowing constellation, so full of stars and everybody wants to shine, but the stars don't shine, they burn, and the constellations shift. I think it's time you learn you're more than just your gift." Because that just sums up the message so beautifully. Everyone has their own unique talent. And also I forgot to mention too, on that subject, how with Mirabelle's father, since he married into the family, and same with her Theo, Felix, that they don't have gifts because they were married into the family. So the father being accident prone and having like all the bee stings, that's too funny too. And then Felix, like even when he sings, and we don't talk about Bruno, when he starts singing, and then she's like, "You're telling the story, or am I?" Sorry, mi vida. Too funny. So anyway, but that's just a beautiful lyric. Stars don't shine, they burn. Like, oh, what a beautiful perspective to think about. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I have to mention this, that Lin-Manuel Miranda, he shared all these behind the scenes about the making of the movie. And one of them actually, oh no, Jared Bush shared this, but then Lin-Manuel Miranda quote tweeted it and added to it, which is, so Jared Bush wrote, "Ready for this most significant text of our entire Encanto production, April 29th, 2020. Little did we know." He texted Lin-Manuel Miranda saying, "Anything in here you love or hate. Arlo, Anko, Andre, Emo, Bruno, Marco." And then Lin-Manuel Miranda texted back, "Love Bruno." And then he tweeted, "I mean, we don't talk about Anko." So there you go. That's too funny because you would think that, I thought that I intentionally picked Bruno from the start because Bruno, no. So, but there you go. They found that, and then he created the song based on that. So, gosh, that song really is so good. My goodness, it really is, because what a fun song. And again, what an amazing movie. So I just love fun behind the scenes tidbits like that. So I just had to share that too, because that's just really cool. And we do talk about Bruno. And with that, that is going to conclude this week's episode of Storytelling Saga. Be sure to visit storytellingsaga.com. And as always, feel free to send me any questions, comments, or writing prompts by sending me an email at storytellingsaga@gmail.com. Next episode, I was going back and forth in terms of what I wanted to discuss for my next episode, because I had one topic in mind, which I still will discuss, but for some reason I'm like being so vague, but I watched something else recently that made me wanting to discuss something else. So with that being said, in 5, 4, 3, 2, I will be discussing an episode of iCarly. Until then, thank you for listening, and remember, write what you love.